Hey, good morning, everyone. 57 windy degrees here in Kingman, Arizona. If you happen to be in town for the Route 66 fun run this weekend, drive careful. Wind gusts are pushing 30, 40 miles an hour, blowing a lot of dust around out there today. And hence, my allergies are kind of giving me fits. So, are we excited this morning? Well, good. So am I. Good morning, Mr. Brady Wilson. Brady's with us this morning. We'll be talking to him next week about some of the exciting things going on in the Texas Panhandle coming up soon. Today, hey, I'm really excited about this. We're going to be visiting with Angela Moreland in McLean, Texas. And Angela is a great example of what makes Route 66 unique and special compared to US 650, 12. It's not that they don't have people, it's just that Route 66 has a passionate community of people that are excited about the places they've decided to call home. And Angela's quite an inspiration. Angela, how are you doing this beautiful morning?
Good morning. Am I on?
Yes, you are.
Woo! I'm fantastic. I'm having my coffee with Jim.
Yes, I got a cup of coffee here too. I need one. It's been a long weekend.
I'm telling you, it's been a long week. The weather here has been crazy.
A little bit of winter, spring, and summer all at once.
Yes, exactly. So I'm super excited to be here talking to you today.
Oh, I'm glad that you're here because the idea is to inspire people with road trips and inspire people to do things a bit different in life. And you've definitely decided to do something a bit different in life, taking on a motel in McLean, Texas.
I did. But I have no regrets, and I absolutely love being here and hosting people, and just I piddle all the day doing something here, something there. I just love this life.
Great. What was your, may I ask, what was your prior life before McLean?
I lived east of Dallas, and I was teaching pre-K most.
I think we lost you there, Angela. Did you? Oh, we got something happened with Miss Angela.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
There. Yes, we can.
Okay, I think my phone went to sleep on me.
Not a problem.
I was living east of Dallas and teaching, and then I have been living here since the end of January 2022. So I bought the motel in February 13th, 2020, and was still living in Dallas and kind of going back and forth, and the motel was being managed. But I live here now.
I have to. How did you end up? How did you choose McLean? It's just McLean's a neat little town, but it's just not the kind of place that most people would think of as. I'm going to start over.
Yeah, well, I think it kind of chose me. I grew up pretty close to Route 66 there in Oklahoma City. And so I saw the motel online, and I just kept looking at it and looking at, it was for sale. And I saw where it was. It's close to Pampa. My only aunt lives in Pampa, actually. She was just here yesterday. And I just couldn't stop thinking about it. So I reached out to the realtor, talked to her, drove up here and saw it. And I was like, I love it. I want it. So I moved heaven and earth to make it happen. And that night I had 2 guests that came in. I have their picture on my phone. So it was, pretty turnkey. The motel was not in the best of shape. Not much had been done to it, but
Well, I think we lost Angela here. We're talking about the Cactus Inn Motel in McLean, Texas. There we go.
Yeah,
Did
my
we
phone
lose?
keeps going to sleep. I don't know what to do
Ah,
about that.
well,
I'll pay
Miss,
attention later.
how the Cactus Inn Motel, that's about 1956, 57.
Yeah, around there. Yep.
Well, I tell you, we had the privilege of staying there our last trip, and I got to tell you, what you've done with that place is magical. You've
Oh, and
really
I'm so
turned.
sad I missed you on that trip.
Well, these things happen, and
Yeah.
it's just life. But you're
Yeah.
right next door to the Red River Steakhouse, so you're about as perfect a location as you're going to get.
Yes, yes. We're so lucky to have that next door. So it's a blessing.
Well, the motel is a real gem, and you've also doing the RV park there, right?
Yes, I'm working on getting some more RV spots across the way. I've themed the rooms for the states that go through Route 66. So room 11 is actually my gallery room, and then 12 is California, 14 is Arizona, 15 New Mexico. I have two Texas rooms. I'm kind of West Texas, East Texas, the McLean, the Amarillo, Texas, and then the McLean, Texas room. I have the Oklahoma room, and then Kansas does have its own room, and and then Missouri and Illinois. So, and Illinois is the only one that I haven't refurbished yet, but it's next, and it's the last one. So,
Well, the motel and your passion and enthusiasm for your new hometown, uh, it really illustrates the Route 66 experience. What makes it special? Your passion for providing guests with a memorable stay, your passion for preserving history, and your enthusiasm for breathing some new life into McLean. It just really sums up what Route 66 is in the modern era.
yes, and what it needs to be more of. There's a lot of little neat places on Route 66.
Yeah, the places like McLean, they're a little down at the heel. Uh, but if you take the time to get to know some of the people, meet the folks in these communities like yourself, I think people would be inspired to start looking at life a little bit differently.
Yeah, I think some stuff is going to happen here in McLean. We've got a truck, a new truck stop that's coming in. Um, I have my Main Street building, and I'm opening another one soon, and so that's exciting. I'm going to have two doors open on Main Street. And then we do have, the two museums here in town, the Devil's Rope Museum, which is fantastic, the McLean Allen Reed Museum, which is absolutely wonderful, with so much McLean history. There's the Velvet Teepee and the Row Cafe on the northwest corner here in town. And then somebody has purchased the Rexall Drug, and we're not sure what's going in there.
Well, that is an exciting development because that's a neat place.
It is. I think it's a absolutely adorable little Main Street,
Yes, I really, it's really surprising it still has the red brick streets. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's really surprising. You've also done something pretty amazing downtown with the Cactus Rose Tap Room.
Yes, yes, it's fun. I've been working hard on getting it. It's evolving. So it's a tap house. So we have beer and wine and pool tables and dartboards, and we're having a big Cactus Rose soiree on June the 12th that evening, in conjunction with the Amarillo Route 66 Festival. So the tour bus is going to come out that day. They'll go back, and then there's going to be a soiree in the evening where they can come back out. And so that's a big event that's happening at the Tap House. And then in the fall, I'll do Oktoberfest again. And so, and I've got a lady that's on the city council here that I think is going to help me out with some of the youth activities and such. So that'll be a super fun Oktoberfest. And then the Taphouse has a garden next to it. And then I've just purchased the building that's next to the garden, and I'm opening it up as a little tchotchke art gallery type shop. So we'll get that door open as soon as we can.
Well, let me know. We'll get that added to the Route 66 navigation app. And on your events, I'll make sure those are on the navigation app as well.
Awesome. Yep. Yeah, that June 12th.
Brady Wilson says that you probably remember his singing exploits karaoke recently.
Yeah, he comes out. He's a hoot. And what a wonderful spirit he is. And just his enthusiasm for Route 66. He came out and helped clean the Allen Reed Texaco station. We got that all cleaned up a few weeks ago, and a great effort there with the Texas Route 66 Association.
One of the things about the Cactus Rose Tap Room, another thing that makes that kind of historic, wasn't McLean dry until you opened that?
Well, they had beer and wine at the gas stations. You could buy beer or wine at the gas stations, but there was nowhere to go and sit down and enjoy nice cold beer. And I have some nice beers over there. I have some craft beers, some IPAs, and some stouts and porters and such. But yeah, I just went for it. I just did it. I just applied through the state and had to do all the things that you're supposed to do to get it going. So yes, I was the first one, and I guess it's only been wet for a few years, actually, to where you could buy beer or wine at the gas stations. So, yep, I'm the first one.
That makes it another historic milestone. McLean, of course, the Devil's Rope Museum. When you tell people about a barbed wire museum, their eyes kind of roll back a bit. And I always tell people the most amazing thing about the Devil's Rope Museum, a barbed wire museum, the most amazing thing is that it's actually interesting, and you will find yourself losing several hours before you even realize it.
Oh, yes. It's really interesting. Stop. Yep. There's a little Route 66 portion and the gift shop. And then it tells the history of barbed wire, and how it changed the landscape of the West.
Now that museum that was housed in the old brassiere factory? Is that
the old Uplift factory? Yes, sir.
The Uplift capital of Texas. Oh boy!
Yeah.
I suppose that wasn't the official name slogan.
No, I don't think so. But
no, I don't. Sure. But it makes for a good smile.
It does. This town has a lot of neat history. It was founded by a gentleman that actually passed away on the Titanic.
Oh, Mr. Rowe.
Yes, yep, Alpha Rowe. And then we had a World War II camp here, the prisoner camp, and that's kind of an interesting little tidbit.
That gets overlooked a lot. I had talked to Delbert True, before the apocalypse of 2020.
Yeah.
I had talked to Delbert about that. He was having that cleaned up, and they were talking about getting some monuments put up out there. And that's a site that a lot of people miss.
Yeah. Yes. Well, it's kind of easy to miss. I mean, I'm hoping that McLean will actually be a destination, in the future. Right now it's kind of a pass-through town. So we just got to turn it around to an actual destination. There's definitely enough to do here in town for a nice little weekend or a couple of nights stay, so that you can get in the museum and the museums and tool around and check it out. So,
well, the thing that I'm seeing with these small towns, and you're a great example of this, is people who are starting new chapters in life, wanting to get a little more out of life. And they're finding these little towns like McLean. And McLean is just ripe for opportunity for people
Oh,
who
I
want to
know.
open a little cafe or a small business and just
Mm.
enjoy small town life.
Yes, there's one for sale here in town. The Why Not Ranch that used to be the Chuck Wagon is for sale. Somebody
Uh,
needs to come and buy it.
is that the one downtown across from the tap room?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I do it, but I just can't afford it. I'm like, ah.
well, I probably shouldn't do that either. My cooking skills, I'm still alive and people eat my food and they survive, but I don't think anybody's going to pay for it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's, the restaurant business is not easy. It seems easy as a guest at a establishment, but it is a lot of work and it's hard. You've got to really, really put in a lot more effort than people actually think. But it can be done, of course. It's been,
Yeah.
it's been done and done and done. But and I know, I think I'm coming to realize that that's one thing that Route 66 really needs is more places to eat.
Yeah.
I'm realizing. So I am working on putting a small kitchen in at the Taphouse. Just a little. I'm just starting real simple, and so we'll see if I can get that done. It's been a challenge, but just to have a little something, there.
That would be a great addition, an excellent addition.
Yeah, I just got to get it finished. It's hard finding good help around here. We need electricians and plumbers and general contractors and, but
Well, there's another call for people that have some skills that want to do something a little different in life. They might want to get out of
yeah,
Los Angeles or Houston or Phoenix. And
yep,
a lot of these small towns, Tucumcari, I just had this conversation there. They're in desperate need for plumbers and electricians.
yes, yeah. And I think they could use another couple of restaurants from what I understand as well
Yeah.
to
Now,
give choices.
the Route 66 Cafe and Restaurant, there's a lot of good things happening in that realm. The Highway Cafe out in Veneta, Oklahoma with Beth Hilburn. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
COVID set things back quite a bit. Some of the places
It did.
were unable to
It did.
survive.
Yes,
But
and I got so lucky here at the motel. We had nurses. There's a care center here for a few blocks north of the motel, and I actually had nurses that stayed here every other room, and they literally saved my hiney. I don't know what would have happened if I wasn't blessed with those nurses that came in to help here in McLean, because it would have been brutal.
yeah, that really set things back quite a lot. Are you getting some of the international travelers to stop or?
A little bit, yeah. Um, I think, it's been so weird, because COVID, and then, kind of the next year after COVID, it was pretty rough. And then 22, it's just every year it seems like there's something. Like this year we had the wildfires up at the Oklahoma, the Texas Oklahoma border north. Although the fires were like 60 miles away from here, it still affected travel here in the Panhandle. I think a lot of people kind of rerouted once they realized that the wildfires were there, and then the weather's been so crazy this season. So, but that's the Panhandle, I think. The weather goes up and down, so we'll see what happens when school lets out and the summer travelers start coming through, and hopefully we'll have a really, really good season. It hasn't been bad. I just haven't seen as many travelers as I was hoping that I would see. So,
Greg Hassman asked what was the latest developments on the old Phillips 66 station.
oh, it's looking fantastic. It's all remade, redone, painted. The pumps are new. So, yeah, I forgot to mention that one.
That's about 1929.
I think, well, from what I understand, it's the first Texaco or I'm sorry, Phillips 66 station in Texas. I know
Oh,
there's some debate over one that's in Turkey or somewhere close by, but I think they've solved it, and this was the first, from what I understand. I'm not an expert on it, but
well, that makes sense that they would put one on Route 66 first
hmm
because of the traffic and all. Sure.
yeah. Well, and speaking of that, I'm working on with the Texas Route 66 Association and Gary, getting some of those roadside attraction signs here in town, and I'm trying to get a hold of the lady that would be in charge of our arrow. We've got a Quanah Parker arrow here in town, and right here across from the motel. And there's only 3 on Route 66. There's the one here in McLean. There's one by the Cadillac Ranch, and then there's one in Vega. And so there's just 3 of those that are on Route 66, and there's several in Texas. So I think that could use a roadside attraction sign. And then, of course, one for the motel, and then I'd like to do one for the historic district there, because McLean is technically a historic district.
Most definitely. The Quanah Parker, I was not aware of those. Can you tell me a little bit about those monuments, Quanah Parker?
Well, they're kind of interesting. That a family has put the arrows in. I didn't know that it was there, and the manager here at the motel, she's like, "Yeah, it's right there." And I'm looking over, and I'm just like, "Where?" I just didn't see it. Finally, she had to walk across the street, like literally, like right here. I'm like, "Oh, I see it now." But they are. They're several. They're the trail that Quanah Parker would take, and so and I'm not 100% on why the family decided to put these arrows where they put them particularly, but I'm sure that each one has its own, story.
Yes.
You can find it online. No, you just have to look up the Quanah Parker arrows.
As we were talking the other morning before this about McLean, I started doing a little bit of looking. Started out, of course, with Jack Rittenhouse's classic book, A Guidebook to Highway 66. That was published in 1946. And ended up, as usual, wandering down a rabbit hole. And I started noticing the hotel and the auto courts that were listed in McLean. And one has really intrigued me, and I got to find out more. It's an auto court. It's called 20 Trees.
Ah.
Any ideas on that one?
I don't know if that's the one that's on the east side of town. There's an old motel that's on the east side of town that is abandoned, and it's actually not in the McLean city limits. It's just right outside the McLean city limits. So I don't know too much about it. It intrigues me as well. I'm like,
There's several listed here, but this one was really odd because the name of the auto court was 20 Trees.
And
I thought,
I don't think we have 20 trees in the whole town.
Yes. The other auto courts were H&H, the Last Chance Court.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so you've got 2 there that just really are kind of the Last Chance and 20 Trees.
Well, now I'm going to have to figure out where they were.
I'm really curious. I'll reach out to some of the postcard collectors and see if they have any ideas on those. It's a shame. I know the theater's gone now. The Avon Theater and the Avalon and the Hinman Hotel, both were raised recently.
Yeah,
but you've still got so much downtown so many fascinating places there.
Yes, there's lots of possibilities here, and there's there's several little places that I'm not sure what's going on with them all. It's like I envision them all being open and being something, someday in the near future, hopefully in the next few years.
Well, pretty
And like I
much.
said, McLean will hopefully be a destination for people.
Well, you've got, every town has something.
Yeah.
And you mentioned like Alfred Rowe. What a fascinating fella. Not just the fact that he passed away on the Titanic, but that fella's story is really quite astounding.
Yeah. He would go back and forth, and his ranch was large here in McLean, and from what I understand, he somehow finagled a switch on the railroad to stop here in McLean, and that's kind of how McLean started, from what I understand, because there was a railroad, and that way he could load his cattle there on the train, and he wouldn't have to drive. He wouldn't have to drive them. So that was rather ingenious. And then he donated this square mile of, it was his ranch, but he donated it to start a town around the switch. And that's kind of how McLean started.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And I had really, and you were again, you're an example of this. I don't mean to give you a big head so your hat don't fit, but yeah, you really give an example of this, that if we get passionate people building cooperative partnerships and we tap into what makes a community unique, we can use Route 66 to magnify and showcase that. And if we then make a town a destination for visitors, we make it a place where people want to live, raise families, open businesses. And that's how we bring some of these faded towns back to life.
Yeah, and there's so many, and it's so, it's so quiet and peaceful here, and just, relaxing. If the town picks up, of course, we'll have a little bit of traffic, but right now there's really, there's not much traffic to deal with, like you deal with in the big cities. I drive down to Dallas and I hit that I-35. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I don't have to do this very often.
I don't remember what year McLean was bypassed, but I understand it was the last community in Texas on Route 66 to be bypassed by the interstate.
Yeah. Yes, and I think that was like the late 70s, early 80s, something like that, if I can recall. I'm horrible with dates.
Oh, I know, me too. I came in on the tail end of that era, literally on the tail end of when it was I-40 and still Route 66. I was driving truck at that time from Kingman. My primary route was from Kingman to Wichita, Kansas, or Oklahoma City. And I remember coming through McLean quite a lot.
Yeah, and you weren't on 40 at the time. You were actually on the one-ways. Yeah, McLean has the one-ways here, which are kind of unique too. It's, going east or going west, Route 66 is the best. They got the Burma Shave signs out there on the westbound side right as you're entering town. But there's the one-ways are two roads actually that go through McLean. And there's property between them, that would be really, really neat for businesses and such to be on.
Yeah.
I don't know how many towns have one-ways like that on Route 66.
Several. After in the post-war era, to accommodate the just dramatic increase in traffic flow, they had changed Route 66 from a one street to two one-way corridors. Williams, Arizona, and Winslow, Arizona, come to mind. They both did that in the post-war years, and that's because the traffic flow became just so astronomical. I just discovered here in Arizona, and we can assume much of Route 66 was like this. But in 1939 here in Arizona was the first year that the Arizona State Highway Department clocked 1 million vehicles entering the state on Route 66.
Wow.
And so we can
Yeah.
assume that after the war, it was dramatically increasing.
Yes, yes. And I just can't imagine I kind of can imagine what this town used to be. I mean, I hear stories about how alive it was, and it's kind of sad that it's gotten to where has been, but I see it picking back up because of the small town. People I think, are looking, especially with the virtual, you can work from home on your computer and all that jazz.
Yes.
And
yeah, with high speed, some small communities have invested in having high speed internet, and that really, exactly, people can use that for remote work.
Yeah.
So that's a great investment if a town can do that.
Yes. And I think they're working on it. There was a new tower that was put in not long ago, I think.
Well, it's really going to be a lifesaver for a lot of rural communities. It'll be a great investment. You mentioned how lively these towns were. It was the best of times and the worst of times, because it was a nightmare trying to drive Route 66. The traffic, you had an opportunity to use your 4-letter word vocabulary often. Let's put it that way. And some of these places were so busy. I was talking to a cafe owner in Oklahoma. She bought an older cafe that she's been renovating. And the owner, she bought it from, the cafe opened in the 30s. The people she bought it from had run it from the early 50s into the 1990s. And when she bought it, they didn't have any keys because the place had never closed. They'd been open 24 hours a day.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh, that's crazy.
To give you an idea how
busy
things were.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's people that I can see I-40 from here, and there's always somebody out there on the road.
Yeah.
24/7.
You mentioned your new shop that's going to be down by the tap room?
Yes, it's 212 Main Street, and it's right next to the parking lot across from the bank. And then the garden, which belongs to the Taphouse. The Taphouse has the 218 Main, and then the garden, which is actually 2 city lots. So 218 Main, where the Cactus Rose Taphouse, is actually 3 city lots. And then this new building is the building that's right next to the garden. So now it's kind of the Taphouse, the garden, and then the new building that is going to be called the Barbary Fig. And right now I'll have things for sale in there, artwork and some antiques and different stuff that'll be available in there. And then maybe someday down the road, I'll possibly, maybe, not promising anything, but I could possibly turn it into a restaurant.
See, this is what we're talking about, Angela. You've got plans, and I like this is what we started this with this morning. You're so inspirational because you're just like eating an elephant, one bite at a time, and you just keep improving your new hometown.
I'm trying, yeah. And the RV parking, I'm stuck on with the electrician. It's getting the 50 amp electric going, but that is a absolutely fantastic way to get people to come through town, at least for a night. In there's a lot of RV travel out there, and to get them to stop here for the night just adds, that whatever. Well, I can't think of the word that I'm trying to say. It adds to the economy.
Yeah.
But and it's a very simple way to just get people to come through town, and hopefully that problem will be solved in the near future. I hope that I've got space for 6 spots out there right across from me. I have 2 spots active right now, and they stay pretty, they stay pretty full. I'm on Harvest Host, and I'm on Hip Camp, and I've tried, I'm reaching out to try to get more RV spots, filled, but it's just a fabulous way, I think, to get people into a community, especially a Route 66 community like this. So
I've got
I'm
another
working
one.
on it.
I've got another one. You may be aware of this already, but plug share. Are you familiar with plug share?
Is that a RV?
It's people who have 40 amp RV parks, things of that nature. They put in a charging station or two, and
Oh yeah.
Plug Share is a free website and you simply upload your address, what amperage, what type of charging station you have, and it has become the holy grail for electric vehicle owners. Looking for places to charge their. It's just another way to attract some folks.
Yeah, and I'm actually the next city council meeting I'm going to go to. There's the old ice house that's right behind City Hall and right behind the Taphouse, and I'm going to talk to the city owns it, but I'm going to find out what we need to do to possibly make that a parking lot. I think it would be a great spot. It's clear. It's just it still needs a few more. It still needs a little more clearing. But I think that would make a great parking lot and possibly a great spot to put a couple of chargers in for electric vehicles as well. And that money would go, to the city.
The electric vehicle situation, love them or hate them. The point of the story is people are out there, they're driving them, they're using them, and
they can only drive so far, I think, right?
Yeah, provide a service, and at the same time, you help the community, like you said, with additional tax revenues for the city, and give people a reason to stop. Sure.
Yep. So, yeah, I sometimes feel like I have too much in my brain, but like you said, little pieces of the elephant and little bits at a time. Yeah. My mother, she's like, why don't you finish one project before you start another? I'm like, oh, well, I could, but then I'd be sitting here just waiting for an electrician.
Well, that's it. Sometimes you got to have 2 or 3 projects, because while you're waiting for the paint to dry at one place, you can be doing something next door.
Yep. So that's what I've done. I just had the opportunity to buy this new building, and I just hopped on it. So.
Do you have a pretty proactive city government that's tapping into Route 66 in development? Are they
in the town?
Yeah, are they kind of a lot of communities have trouble grasping the potential.
Yeah. Well, I think, the city itself, the mayor and the council and they have had to work so hard at the infrastructure of the town to just get it, it's to get all the infrastructure, like I think that's been their biggest focus, is just infrastructure survival. But now I think they are to a point to where they really need to start looking at, okay, now how are we going to get some more people coming through town? So
it becomes a chicken or egg situation. You've got to have the infrastructure to have people invest in the community or stop in the community. But on the other hand, if you don't have people stop and invest in the community, you don't have the tax revenue to invest in the infrastructure.
Right. Yep. It's a big, huge catch-22. So, Um, but I think, the city has worked hard to maintain what they've got. And I know, it's an old town, and it's got old pipes and old, like it's just,
Yeah,
they try to take the elephant a little bit of bites at a time. So,
right.
and I know they're passionate about the town, and uh, they've been here. Sometimes when you've lived somewhere your whole life, you just see it in one way, and
Yes. Well,
um,
this is good and bad, and I'm sure you've encountered this, but we have a tendency, I think it's human nature. We get so used to seeing things, we no longer see it. And it takes people, for me, it's meeting with tour groups and travelers to help me see my hometown here with fresh eyes. And having
yeah,
people like you come in uh, forces people to see things differently. And that's a good and bad thing because that can kind of rub people the wrong way sometimes.
yeah. It just, I've been so busy. I'm just now starting to, with the tap house, starting to meet some people in the town and such. And I've gotten really good reception. I know some people probably aren't too excited about the tap house, but they're but everybody's been very nice and very kind. And it's just a small town, and it's a really woven, connected community, that I just love. It's so peaceful, and uh, I don't know, I just love it.
Well, I want to encourage people that are listening this morning, whether you're traveling Route 66 or just if you find yourself in the Texas Panhandle, I'd like to encourage people to stop in, spend the night there at the Cactus Inn, have dinner next door at the Red River Steakhouse, and wander down to the tap room for a cold beer, and if possible, talk to Angela. But just listen to people. Just sit quietly and listen, and I'd like to encourage people to discover McLean because it's well worth more than just a drive through.
Yes, it is. And I just, to go through our museums to spend the day,
Yeah.
uh, is really unique. I know some people, that's their goal, is to go through the museums, and then others, they don't have any interest at all, but they'll go and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm like, "Yeah, it's really cool."
At the museums, do you have any exhibits or anything pertaining to the Titanic since Mr.
Yeah,
Rowe passed?
yes, the McLean Allen Reed Museum, yes, does have all that information, and about Mr. Rowe in there.
Well, that would, right there, that would surprise so many people to find a connection to the Titanic in the middle of the Texas Panhandle.
I
That's that's
know.
that's got to be
Yeah,
a surprise.
it is. It's a pleasant little surprise and very unique. One more thing that makes this little town unique, I think.
Angela, I want to thank you for taking time from your Sunday morning to do this. And gosh, I just want to thank you in general because I find your work inspiring.
No, well,
And,
thank you.
yeah,
Um, I thank you for helping promote us, and that it helps. My marketing budget is small, and I have to really be picky. I posted my rooms the other day because I have YouTube. I did little TikTok shorts, and I uploaded them to YouTube for those that don't do TikTok. But there's a little short for each of the rooms on the thing, and I tried to post them, and not all the places will let me post them. But I'm like, well, I don't know what else to do.
well,
So
I will get a blog post up with a link to those videos,
yeah,
and
it's on
I
YouTube
think people
channel. They're
find that.
not the best. I wish my hand was steadier when I was going through, but they're my first one. So I'll do another round maybe next year as I get some more stuff, because my goal is to travel the route. myself once I get to a point where I can do that and just pick up stuff that I can add to each room. And so the rooms will keep kind of evolving as I can do that. So there's a little bit in each room that lets you know that this is Arizona and this is,
Sure.
New Mexico and such. But I plan on adding some more, just some maybe pictures decoupaged on the wall and such. So,
well, you have a volunteer already for your assistance with your video project.
Oh, good.
Who? Brady.
Oh, Brady. Oh, good. Okay, yeah, he will come and help me.
Brady says he'll help.
Okay. Have you seen the ones I did, Brady?
He's Nolan Stoltz said that he enjoyed your videos as well.
Yeah.
Angela, thank you so very much for this. I'll get a blog post up in the next day or so about what we discussed today, folks, on the Jim Hinckley's America website. I'll get links to the videos. We'll have a little bit of history of McLean and see what else we can do to inspire a road trip or two.
Okay, fantastic. I'm looking forward to a great travel season.
Well, as we get closer to the centennial, I have a feeling that the people who have survived the apocalypse and that have the passion and vision and ambition, I think they're going to be busier than a one-legged man in a behind kicking contest.
That'd be awesome. Well, and I want that June 12th Cactus Rose soiree. I want it to be big.
Well, we'll get that added to the Route 66 navigation app. June 12th. Okay. I'll make sure that gets done. See if we can get some more attention there. Awesome. Well, I'll tell you, thank you very much. And we're going to continue talking about Texas next week because we're going to visit with Brady. Brady Wilson's got some stuff to share with us next week. And we'll continue our adventures in Texas. And the week after that, we were talking about electric vehicles. I've got a pretty interesting fella coming up on May 19th that he's out to dispel some of the myths and misunderstandings about electric vehicles. And he's done some pretty adventuresome, maybe is the word I'm looking for. One of his adventures was to take his Tesla and visit every single Indian reservation in Arizona.
Oh, wow.
That should be kind of interesting. Speaking, we've talked a little bit about the Route 66 navigation app. I'm working with Marian Pavel this morning, actually, developing the next edition of the Mother Road Route 66 Passport, which is a way to enhance your Route 66 adventure. It's also a way to get people to stop and at the visitor centers, learn more about the communities. And it works really well with the Route 66 navigation app. And Marian's taken it a step further, too. He's updated. He has a Route 66 travel book, mostly for people who are making their first trip. But it's free for a download on the Route 66 navigation website. And it's available in 8 languages. It's something to keep in mind, too. We're finishing up the Fun Run weekend here in Kingman, Arizona. I'll have some information on that pretty soon. This was the 35th annual Route 66 Fun Run. Looks like it was a pretty good turnout. We had great weather until yesterday afternoon, and today we're talking 20 to 40 mile an hour winds with wind gusts to 60 miles an hour. Should make things kind of interesting. And I'll share a bit about my adventure on the Fun Run this year. I had a unique opportunity, if you will. The fellow I know here in Kingman was a professional race car driver in the early 1950s. And he just turned 90. And he still drives like everything's a race car. And we made quite a trip to Route 66 yesterday in a 1968 Oldsmobile convertible. It was quite an experience, and I'll be sharing more on that. Does anyone have any questions for Angela or about McLean, Panhandle, Texas? Speak now or forever hold your peace. We got quite a crowd here from South Carolina and East Lansing, and well, people from Illinois with us this morning, and people from Scotland, and
Awesome.
so we got some folks listening and paying attention.
Well, good. Hopefully they'll make McLean a destination for their next adventure.
Well, the thing with the Cactus Inn, in fact, I recommend as much as possible, Cactus Inn, the Roadrunner Lodge, the Wagon Wheel Motel. When you're traveling Route 66, it's kind of a little bit like time travel. And it doesn't have to end at the end of the day where you where you break that magic spell by checking into a Best Western. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you can keep that magic alive by, stopping into Cactus Inn Motel or Roadrunner Lodge. Keep that thing going.
It's unique. Yeah, and I don't think I mentioned, I got a grant to give the Cactus Inn the exterior a facelift. So I'm working on that now. I've got to paint and replace the awning that got some hail damage, and to do some sign work and some painting for the parking lot. So I'm excited about that. I'm in the middle of getting all that done. So there's stuff you got to do to make it happen. I'm like, wow, I thought I was done, but no. Anyways, it's been a learning process, but it wasn't that hard. It just, took a little bit of brain juice to get it going, which I'm running very short on at my age.
Oh, I think you're still a youngster.
Yeah, young at heart.
Well, that's what keeps us young. The fellow I went up to Sligman with yesterday, I've known him for a few years, and I'd misjudged his age. I had it in my head that he was about 84, 85, and he had just turned 90.
Wow.
And I tell you, if this isn't optimism, he's making plans on having his 1950 race car finished next year so he can take it on the fun run. And no offense to C. Russell, but when you're 90 years old and you're making plans for next year, that is optimism.
Yes. Yeah, you just don't stop. I mean, you just have to keep moving forward.
A great example in McLean is Delbert and his wife.
Yeah, yeah. He's about that, I think. We were just over there with the cleanup. They had lunch for us at his ranch, which is such an honor and pleasure to go over there and have lunch with them and get to chat with them. And they are sweet, unique people.
Well, thank you again, Angela. And my friends, thank you for joining us this morning. We will be doing this again. I've got some updates I'll share with you from Uranus Fudge Company and General Store in Missouri. If you're a fan of juvenile humor, that's a stop you got to make. And if you're not a fan of juvenile humor, at least get some pictures of the Neon and check out the Circus Sideshow Museum. That's definitely different. There's so many quirky and fun attractions on Route 66. That's another part of this. The Barbed Wire Museum, the Uranus Fudge Company, and Route 66 is truly a unique experience, and it's the only highway I know in the United States that is a destination. It's kind of something to think about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's right up there. From what I understand, countries all they come here just to do Route 66.
Well, I've got something else for you, and I will send it to you. Speaking of that. I've been working with the organizers of this year's European Route 66 Festival, which will be taking place in Prague. And I now have a shipping address, and we're going to make arrangements to have a Route 66 planning information set up there with promotional materials. And I'll get you that mailing address in case you want to send anything over for the event in the end of August.
Yeah, I know Reese Martin and his wife are going.
Yes. Yeah. I'm supposed to attend, but that's still a big question mark. I can't commit to that yet. But
Yeah.
regardless, we're going to have a Route 66 information booth there.
Awesome. Yeah. In the future, those are the things that I'll be doing, hopefully, is being able to go to things of that nature. Right now, I just pretty much stay busy all the day.
Well, you've got your hands full right there.
Yeah.
You can only squeeze in. It's really hard to put in more than 30 hours in every day. It
is.
That's kind of a challenge.
Yeah. And people check in at all, there's people check in at 2:00 in the morning, they stumble on us and I'm like, okay, hold on.
My friends, hey, thank you. We'll button this up this morning with a little bit of music from Joe and Woody and the boys of the road crew, who will be performing at an event in Galena, Kansas, coming up here pretty soon. The kickoff for their Route 66 centennial celebrations. Until next week, my friends.
Thank you, Jim.
You bet, Miss Angela. Thank you so very much. Well, until next week, my friends, travel safe, live life, and enjoy the adventure. And we'll talk soon, my friends.
Bye.
Yes, Cinco de Mayo. I'd forgotten about that one, Brady. Thank you.
Say hello to a new friend on an old road. Take a 2-lane trip of memories into mysteries unknown. Come along for the ride. Jim Hinckley's America. Jim Hinckley's America.